ago and some of the updates that have been reported regarding that particular incident. Now, The Guardian is reporting outrage as Ibadan explosion exposes illegal mining, weak regulation. Is on page 6 of The Guardian newspaper. Let's have a look at the story briefly. There are multiple writers to this story. FEC raises committee to review laws on explosives. Those behind explosion must be fished out, says Tinubu. Alake vows to tighten news on illegal mining, acquisition of explosives. Afenifere urban alerts call for review of illegal mining activities. Foreign illegal miners ran out of building before explosion, says survivor. Buildings of ex-Oyo Deputy Governor Bola Ige Akintola UCH damaged. Now, Fuad, as victims count their losses from Tuesday's explosion that shattered the serenity of Ibadan metropolis, there have been renewed calls for the review of activities of illegal miners in the country to checkmate the menace, particularly preventing the recurrence of such explosion. Now, preliminary investigation by Oyo State Governor has revealed that the explosion may not be unconnected with the storage of explosives in a residential building by illegal miners. So I was able to look through this report before we came on air forward, and we have report from survivors, although the majority of them were pleading anonymity. They didn't want their names to be mentioned, but some of them apparently knew about the activities of these illegal miners. In fact, we have individuals that live in Ekiti Street and Osun Street in Ibadan. They said they wrote multiple letters to the government, alerting them that they had illegal miners, around. They were sure that there were illegal miners in certain buildings around them who were storing up explosive, and then they wrote to the government, but they didn't get any response whatsoever. So this wasn't exactly a shock to them that they had illegal miners close to them, as they had indicated that explosives were being stored up in residential buildings around them. But then investigation has started, and now they're trying to fish out the individuals. Some say that it was a Senegalese and a Malian, or a group of them, that were living in most of these buildings, and they knew what they were doing, but there was really nothing they could do as individuals, amongst other things. This new information that has come to light, Fuad, would this probably aid in the investigation, and what measures do you think the government needs to put in place now to prevent a recurrence of this unfortunate incident?
Well, Sage, again, it's very unfortunate, avoidable sad incident in Ibadan. Again, I think we can now work with initial intelligence and information from the governor that that explosion was indeed the reckless actions, or what I can call the criminal actions of illegal miners who had stored, explosives in that particular area. Again, if you look at the aerial picture, if you look at the bird's eye view of that ground zero where that thing actually happened.
Hello? I think we lost Fuad. Let's try to get him back on the line. But until then, please join us on Facebook and on YouTube. We're streaming the show live. Trends in the papers on mainland 98.3 FM. We're looking at the Guardian newspaper, and we're having a conversation about what's going on in Ibadan and the results of some of the preliminary investigation that has been carried out. A confirmation that that blast was not unconnected to the activities of illegal miners in the state. Fuad, are you here now?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, right. I think the network.
Yes.
Again, I'll say this is also some form of intelligence failure. If you read through the story very well, a number of residents or affected persons in that area had said that, look, they knew of the activities of these illegal miners. They had written to the authorities complaining about their activities. And that was why it was very easy for the governor at the first instance, even before an hour after that incident happened, to say, look, these were activities of illegal miners who had stored explosives. He said these were dynamite. Again, yes, people have said dynamite could not have caused that kind of damage, but it depends on the quantity that was stored in that place. Because like I said, if you look at the aerial view, the bird's eye view of ground zero, where that thing actually happened, the hole, the depth of the hole, and the damages around that particular area will tell you that indeed this was something very, very dangerous and should not even be stored anywhere in a residential area. I know that that particular place, of course, a number of our persons we've spoken to, he said this is purely a residential area. And it's not just any residential area, it's a residential area of retirees, old people. That's why you can even find the house of the former Minister of Justice, former governor of the old Oyo State, in that kind of environment. So it's very unfortunate. Of course, people have seen in the hospital, I think close to 100 persons now are injured and are receiving treatment in different hospitals. I think the casualty figures are still about 3.
Yeah,
the figures you're getting from the state government.
In this report, Fuad, I'm sorry to cut you. In this report, another source who pled anonymity says that as opposed to the 3-2 number of dead persons, that there are more than 50 people that he believes are dead, and they're still pulling bodies from under the rubble. But official figures still say 2.
Well, again, like I said, these are official figures. Even as at yesterday, I think the Punch newspaper reported about 10 casualties.
Yeah.
And the governor has at even first time, maybe around, even when he was having his press conference, was still saying that, look, the search and rescue effort was still ongoing. So even with the official figures, most likely the figures are still going to go up, if you understand what I'm saying. Now, people have said that, look, the high state of insecurity in the country, you can attribute it to so many things. One of them is the activities of illegal miners.
Yeah.
For example, in Zamfara and most northwestern parts of the country, and even in other parts of the country, that these illegal miners are actually the ones also sponsoring some of these banditry, killings, kidnappings, and insecurity, widespread insecurity around the country. So it is left for us as a country, again, it's a blessed nation state. I was reading through the mineral resources, the number of mineral resources we have in Oyo State alone. And I think we have close to 20 natural resources buried under the ground in different parts of Oyo State. You look at Osun, you look at Ekiti. Almost every part of the country, one, God-given resource is buried under the ground for Nigerians to benefit from. But again, as a country, we have solely relied on crude oil. All our focus has been on crude oil, and we left other things. And so, these things are now left because the reality is that these are valuable things that God has given to us as a people.
Yeah.
So if we as a country refuses to do the right thing with it, illegality is going to take over. And that's why you see people coming from outside, partnering with our locals, working with our security agencies who are also culpable to illegally mine these things. So apart from environmental degradation, these are the kind of things that you now see, where people's property have not been destroyed, people have been killed, and then a lot of times they also help to fan the embers of insecurity in the country. Because anything illegal builds other illegalities. And one of the illegalities that one illegality will build, most likely will be insecurity. So, although Mr. WG he was appointed as Minister of Solid Minerals, I've been saying a whole lot of things. But I doubt if he has the capacity really to transform that sector into what can become very profitable for Nigeria. So, it's a very tough job, see. I've seen people talk about the activities of illegal miners in Zamfara, for example, the gold deposit in Zamfara, the conspiracy of the locals, the conspiracy of the traditional rulers, the conspiracy of the elite, the conspiracy of the political elite, even in Zamfara state. And you understand that, look, as a country, we have to decide what we really want to do with all these God-given resources so that it doesn't become a cost, but, instead of being a blessing for us.
All right. More details of that particular story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Now, still on the front page of the Guardian, we have Nigeria may borrow more to sustain discos, Gencos, as NERC adjusts tariff. Rider to the story, CBN bank loan recovery doubtful as federal government bears 1.6 trillion naira electricity subsidy burden. Stakeholders kick, say new tariff template shows tougher times in 2025. Now, Nigeria struggling to raise funding for its 2024 budget may borrow to finance electricity subsidy as the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Company, NERC, yesterday released a new tariff template showing over 1.6 trillion trillion naira shortfall. There are also indications that the liquidity crisis rocking the power sector in Nigeria may go from bad to worse over the development, which may undermine loan repayments to the apex and commercial banks in the country. So, Fuad, summarily, there's a new electricity tariff template that was put out by the DISCOs and the GENCOs. But because the government claim that they do not want people to pay so much for electricity, they ask that the old tariff from last year be maintained. Ideally, we're supposed to be paying, I think, 112 naira kilowatt per hour, I think, but we're still paying about 62, which means that the federal government would have to bear the shortfall, and it sums up to 1.6 trillion. Now the issue is the amount that was set aside in the 2024 budget for electricity subsidy payment was 450 billion, but now with the template and how much shortfall there is, it sums up to 1.6 trillion, which means that obviously we're going to have to borrow more, right, to augment how much was initially set aside for this payment. But the good news in all of this, Fuad, is that people do not have to pay as much as they're supposed to, because the government are choosing to bear the responsibility, but it will lead us to have to borrow more. So I don't know, bittersweet sort of information.
See, there's no good news in this story.
Fuad, at least we're not going to pay as much.
We are not paying as much. Look, I think Nigerians are actually ready to pay.
Okay.
If we get, electricity supply, if we can get stable power supply, Nigerians will pay. Because the average Nigerian will tell you that it is even more expensive to run their businesses or power their homes and appliances running generators. And that it could be even cheaper for them if there's stable supply of power. Now, this is the way we started with subsidy of PMS.
Right.
Diesel and kerosene, it became a very serious problem. Now we have started with subsidy on the power sector, and now we're already seeing figures in trillions. That was the way it started. Petrol subsidy did not become a problem overnight. It started this way. Oh, we have to pay more. Oh, we have to do this. Now, the problem Nigerians have with this subsidy on electricity is that, look, how can you be subsidizing for darkness? Where is the service? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Where is power? The average Nigerian, as I'm speaking to you, a lot of people, I think yesterday there were a lot of messages in one of our programs complaining about the prevailing darkness in the country. That electricity supply has been very poor. Say, even in our office here, we've been running on diesel, on generator.
Yeah.
Consistently now for how many weeks now? We've been running consistently on diesel and generator. So where is the subsidy going into? What are we subsidizing? So apart from paying, we're also subsidizing that one. And I always say pitch the electricity sector against the telecom sector. These were two industries, these sectors of the Nigerian space that were privatized. The telecom sector was privatized, it was opened up for investment. Look at their performance. Say, pitch it against what we did in the power sector. And you understand what I'm saying. And that is why I keep repeating what the former President Buhari said about the, privatization we did in the power sector. That look, it was just about political patronage. People who have no business in taking over those licenses because they were close to the corridors of power, took over those licenses, and now they can't even do anything with it. I always say that the telecom sector is not more important than the power sector. See? And when you say a sector is very important to the living of the people, it means that it is a very profitable sector. You can't tell me that telecom is more profitable to run than the power sector. So why is it that the telecom guys, yes, with their different challenges and what have you, are still running profitably? They are still able to expand their businesses, have good services, good response time, and are building their business capacity. Whereas in the power sector, we are talking about subsidizing them. It's not just that we are even subsidizing what is happening in the power sector. They can't even repay the bank loans they collected to run these businesses.
Yeah.
To make matters worse, their service is dismally poor. They can't even provide the service to the people. So you ask yourself, who are these guys that took over these licenses? Who are they? If there's anything to talk about when you're talking about complete inefficiency and lack of capacity, it has to be the guys in the power sector. All of these disco dancers or the genco dancers, as you want to call them. So it bothers people like me that we are going to be talking about subsidy again for a sector that has refused to perform for the people. The service has been completely poor. Up till today in our community, people are still buying transformers themselves.
Yeah.
People are still replacing cables themselves. Ordinary prepaid meter they can't even supply effectively. And so you say, what have we done with the power sector? And as we speak, we are talking about a $1 trillion economy. With what we are doing in the power sector. So again, I'm already seeing some form of corruption again coming into this power sector subsidy conversation. That is the way it started with the oil sector, with the PMS and all of, before it became a problem. The reality is that, look, whatever structure we have in the power sector is not working, and we have to do away with it. I've said it, we have to completely dismantle the sector. There's no reason why Lagos State, for example, can have a power generation, transmission, and distribution company that services to the needs of Lagos alone. Lagos is big enough for us to have a power holding company that will generate whatever way it wants to generate, transmit and distribute for us in Lagos alone. Ogun State can decide to merge with Oyo State. But this idea of, you have people generating, then you hand over, to the transmission people, and then you have the grid collapsing every now and then you have the discos who are completely inefficient. They lack the capacity. There's no investment to what they are doing. We are just joking, really. So I'm sorry, I don't know where this subsidy conversation is coming from, because we can't continue to subsidize darkness, continue to pay for darkness.
Wow. Page 6 of the Guardian newspaper, more information on the electricity story. This is Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. My name is Sage Babalola. There's Fuad Said, who's analyzing. He joins us virtually on the show this morning. We're streaming live on YouTube, so please check us on YouTube, Mainland 98.3 FM. You can very well drop your submissions via the chat option available on those streaming platforms. So please join us as we're streaming. We're actually on YouTube for now. We'll be streaming on Facebook in just a few minutes, but we're actually active on YouTube right now. So please join us on YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. Again, this is Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. Now let's look at other stories here. The story on the front page reads, crowdfunding payment of ransom would worsen kidnapping. Federal government warns Nigerians. This is on page 5. The story is, the federal government has warned against public crowdfunding to pay ransoms for kidnapped victims, saying it will only worsen the spate of abductions. Minister of Defense Abubakar Badaru gave the warning while speaking with State House correspondents yesterday after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa. I'm trying to quote what the minister says. Okay, I'm quoting what the defense minister is saying. He says, if we stop over time, kidnapping will not be profitable and they will stop. It's not easy though, but that is the law, he added. Now he's speaking about how if we stop paying these ransoms and indulging these kidnappers, they probably would understand that it's not profitable and they might stop kidnapping people. And his reference to the law is actually the Anti-Terrorism Act, the bill which was passed that says that a payment for an individual is a felony, and you could actually spend 15 years in prison if you pay a ransom because it's considered a felony. I'm trying to look for the provision in itself, but it's being
don't. I think we should not get Nigerians that point anymore. Let's just leave that story. Let's. It's fine. He has said what he wants to say, but it would have been nice if I was one of the journalists when he was saying what he was saying, Minister Badaru, the Minister of Defense, to say, look, sir, if your children were part of the people abducted by those bandits and terrorists, and while you were negotiating or trying to do all the things you wanted to do to get them out, they dump your first child on the road, slaughtered, that look, if you don't pay this ransom, we're going to kill the others. What would you do, Minister Badaru? Minister Badaru, if your children, we don't know how many children he has, were abducted by bandits, and while you were doing whatever you want to do to get them free by these terrorists, and then while you were doing all of that, your first child was slaughtered and brought to your doorstep by these criminals to say that, look, if you don't pay this ransom, we are going to kill the others, what would you do? Would you be talking about the criminality of paying ransom? Is that what we should be talking about now? You know, science sometimes says silence is very golden. When you don't have any meaningful thing to say to the plight of the people, to the suffering of the people, to the predicaments of the people, I think our government officials should learn to just keep quiet. Rather than saying things that will further aggravate the anger and annoyance of the people. This what Minister Badaru has said is completely irresponsible in the context of what Nigerians are facing at this time, as a result of the failure of government to secure the lives and properties of the people. It's completely irresponsible. There's no other way to paint it. So the conversation now is that ransom is bad. Is that what we should be talking about?
Yeah, he says crowdfunding encourages
about in the first instance,
the kidnappers. Yeah, he says the crowdfunding encourages the kidnappers, and now they can start to ask for more money.
What should those families have done? What should they have done? They should go into the bush to fight the bandits. When the security operatives have not been able to release them, is there anybody, any parent anywhere in the world who will be faced with this kind of predicament will not go around looking for money? These Nigerians who are doing this crowdfunding are not even family members of the people. They just feel concerned as a result of the continuous failure of the government to protect the people. What are we saying here? Look at the story of Nabila. Look at the story of the Arios. What are we saying? So what I'm saying is that, is this the time to even be talking about non-payment of ransom? This was the same position Pantami and his people were taking during the Buhari government.
Yeah.
I remember that it was even at that time that they raised the idea of criminalizing the payment of ransom.
Yes.
At that time, Pantami was even saying that, look, people were just blowing the issue of insecurity in the country out of proportion. That indeed, Nigerians were secure. The same Pantami is now one of the people that helped to raise 50 million naira. He should be telling Pantami that one, not ordinary Nigerians. I have thought that Minister Badaru should be more invested in how to secure Nigerians, in rallying the security operatives to begin to find a way, first and foremost, to release the captives, secondly, to arrest these criminals and prosecute them, and then begin to talk about how we can build on that. What are we supposed to do as a people? God forbid. Do you have any parent anywhere who will be in that predicament and will not do everything possible in the world to get his or his family out of this, this marauding beast that we have? What are we saying? I think Mr. Badaru should just keep quiet. He has a right not to say anything. Sometimes when people have, when you get to a point of failure, sometimes thinking becomes a problem. I think they should just leave Nigerians. If they cannot tell us the right things and tell us what they are doing to secure Nigerians, they should just leave Nigerians to be in peace.
Fuad, I want to understand you. Is it the statement in itself that is wrong, or you think the timing of the statement is the problem?
The statement and the timing.
Okay.
Because again, if they had done their job to secure the lives and properties of Nigerians, we will not be talking about paying ransom. You don't understand what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
The statement at the time is completely wrong and irresponsible. Because if they had done their job to secure the people, provide adequate security, would we be talking about ransom payment or crowdfunding? So Nigerians are so happy to pay bandits and terrorists? Is that what he's saying? That is a payment you do out of sorrow and pain. It's not something you are happy to do. Is it celebration of birthday or wedding that crowdfunding is being done for? Or somebody who needs surgery in the hospital? Nigerians are not happy to pay terrorists and bandits, but they are forced to do it because of the failure of government to secure the lives and properties of the people.
Well, this is on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. Before we move to the next story, I would like to inform you that we're now active on Facebook. So you can stream on Facebook. For those of you that are already on YouTube, you might continue streaming on YouTube. But if your preferred streaming platform is Facebook, we're now active on Facebook. So please check us on Facebook at Mainland 98.3 FM. We're streaming live on there as well. Now, in a related story, Fuad, the Guardian is also telling us that families of abducted persons appeal to Tinubu Makinde over 100 million naira ransom. An appeal has been made to President Bola Tinubu and the Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde for the rescue of a Nigerian Air Force officer, squadron leader Nuruddin Popola, his wife Ganiyat, and 16-year-old 100-level student of Nigeria Air Force Institute of Technology Kaduna, Abdul Mugni Folaranmi. Popola hails from Iyalosa, Ebu Ikaloba. Basically they hail from Oyo State, but they live in Kaduna State, and they have been abducted, and the bandits are acting for 100 million. So people are appealing to the president and also the Oyo State governor to help them raise the 100 million naira so that they can secure the release of this a man and his family. I mean, I know your stance on this, so I don't even know the right question to ask.
This is what we are now saying.
Yeah.
So what should this family now do? You don't understand what I'm saying. You now see why I said the minister's comment and statement, whether the comment and the timing is completely wrong and irresponsible at this time. There's widespread problem. It's not even addressing the real problem. So, okay, so ransom payment is what is encouraging these people. So that's what we are supposed to be talking about now. Is that what we're supposed to be talking about? We know the real problem, the foundation of the problem. You should be addressing that. And that is the failure of the government to secure the lives and properties of the people. Okay, look at this family now, reaching out to the government. What do you expect from the family? And that is why I said that it would have been nice to ask the minister, if you found yourself in this situation, what would you have done? Or didn't you follow the story of the Arios? Their 13-year-old daughter has been slaughtered by these terrorists. The other people, the Nabila family, what's their name? Their foreign level, the first daughter, has also been slaughtered by these bandits and these terrorists.
Yeah.
And then the minister is coming and saying the crowdfunding will continue. Okay, what are the people supposed to do? You should tell us what they are supposed to do. They should carry guns and sticks and enter the bush, go after the terrorists themselves.
This is on page 8 of the Guardian newspaper. More stories here. Without security, we have no business in government, says Wike. Rider to this, Tinubu empowers security operatives to flush out terrorists. Now, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has declared that without the provision of security for life and property, the government has no other business. Wike stated this yesterday at a security meeting with leaders and security agencies in Buari Area Council, which is the most tormented area in the territory in recent weeks. Probably Wike listened to the show yesterday, but he has decided to do something about this. He has called for a meeting with security agencies.
When we called out Wike for focusing too much on Rivers policy and abandoning his job as deputy minister to secure the people and work with the security, somebody called and said we just hated Wike. That is not his business for security in Abuja. Thank God it's the same Wike talking about security as the core duty of the government.
Yeah. So there's a meeting now, and they've tasked them to do what is expected of them and take care of, well, not necessarily just those in the FCT, but basically do something about the security situation in the FCT, because Abuja has been in the news a lot, and heavy ransom has been demanded, especially for victims that have been taken from Abuja. But he's saying without security, they have absolutely no business in government. So I mean, he has finally started focusing on his primary responsibility as the FCT minister.
It's not just to talk. Say they should talk and do.
Well,
we are used to these statements like this, comments like this.
He has prompted them.
Sorry?
He has prompted them to do something. I mean, that's
it's not just to prompt. We want to see results.
Okay.
We want to see results. Thank God he has acknowledged the fact that they have no business being in government. They can't secure the lives and properties of the people, because that's the first job of government. But it is not just about the talk now. It is about the doing. We have to see them doing and achieving results. We have to begin to see that these terrorists are, go after them, eliminate them. The ones that can arrest, prosecute, and even make some of them face capital punishment, because if you kill, the law in Nigeria still says that you have to be killed too. These are people who have killed people, who have maimed people, sacked villages, transferred villages, tormenting Nigerians. So the talk is enough. We want to see the doing. We want to see results.
All right. Well, page 26 of the Guardian newspaper, that is where the story is. Now, moving forward, let's talk about our naira to the dollar slippery slope. Naira falls to 1,320 Naira to $1 amid uncertainty over MPC status. Rider to the story, committee yet to publish 2024 meeting schedule. Now, Naira has fallen to around 1,320 Naira to $1 at the parallel market, raising the uncertainty level of foreign exchange market. As at press time yesterday, the domestic currency shed 3.03% from 1,280, which it closed on Tuesday, to trade at 1,320 against the dollars. Now, analysts said the modalities for the financial system reform started by the current leadership of the Central Bank of Nigeria under Yemi Cardoso are still unclear. But they told The Guardian yesterday that foreign banks may necessarily have to be allowed to acquire shares in existing financial institutions to boost forex liquidity. Experts are saying this step would enable investors to conveniently deposit their proceeds sourced from equity and loan financing. Once again, they are calling out questioning the effectiveness of the CBN under Yemi Cardoso and some of the reforms that they've put in place. I don't think that these reforms have really borne any reasonable fruit at this time. Although the MPC meeting for 2024, I don't think there's been any MPC meeting so far. So they're just operating on uncertainty. But the primary thing to take away from this story is that the parallel market, the Naira is now 1,320 to $1.
You know what?
Wait first. I just want to say something. Do you remember that?
Sorry, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Do you know that the exchange rate benchmark is 800 Naira to $1? That's what we peg in our budget.
Sorry?
Like, you know that our exchange rate benchmark in our budget, we did 800 Naira to $1. That's what we did. I'm just saying. Please continue. I just have to remind you.
Yeah, of course. We had a story. I think was it this week or last week that look, the budget benchmark is so unrealistic. If at the parallel markets we're already doing 1,320. Just this week, I think it started with 1,270
Yes.
And now, before the close of the week, we're already running 1,320 Naira to $1. People are already questioning the capacity of Mr. Yemi Cardoso as the head of the CBN. And can you blame anybody for beginning to doubt his capacity to function as a CBN governor? Are you going to doubt anybody now? That's all of these things about Cardoso, Wale, all of these guys. It's not just I. I'm sorry, that's what people are saying. That all of these so-called experts, they are so knowledgeable, they have all of the experience and blah, 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 Cardoso, Wale, and all of these guys. People are saying that, it's not just all hype. And that really, there's really no substance to what we've been hearing about them. But Mr. Yemi Cardoso has the opportunity, to now, use performance to answer those that are doubting his capacity to function as the CBN governor. Something has to be done. We cannot have this free fall. We're going to run into serious trouble. We're already in trouble.
We are.
But don't become more serious if we don't find solution to the free fall of the Naira against the dollar. And as it is, I call it a free fall because it's like we are helpless. I was reading one of the stories where it was being said that, the racketeers, the people who are, in the black market, making a mess of the forex exchange, blah, 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 we're going to go after them. I said, the talking has to stop. We have to begin to see the doing. I'm sorry. Like I said, I think was it last week or a week before, there are only predictions that if we are not careful, even before the middle of the year, we could eat 2,000 Naira to $1. And the indication got there, say, if in January,
it's already 1,000.
We're already doing 1,320. Because again, people have on a daily basis they still question whether there's any unification. If you look at what we have now, the I and E window,
I think it's
and the parallel market.
I think on the I and window is 1,000 Naira. Yeah, 320. Sorry? I think the official rate is about 1,000. So we have about 320
about 1,000 Naira.
Yeah.
So if you have a margin of about 300 Naira, that's big money for the racketeers.
Yeah.
So you ask yourself, have we really unified anything? Why is it that up till today, say, when we say we've unified and one of the so-called top decisions of the government, why is it that up till today nobody has access to dollar in the IRD window. Everybody has to still go to the black market. So have we really unified anything? The so-called top decisions of the government that is supposed to bring something of benefit to Nigerians in the future, in reality, with what we have, is there unification? Where is that margin coming from? Why is it that at the IRD window nobody still gets anything? It's only in the black market and we still have this margin. So what is going on? It is only the authorities that can tell us what's going on. And they have to be the ones. They can't keep coming to the media to tell us the problem. We must provide solutions and begin to show Nigerians the results of those solutions. That's the only time we can begin to not believe their capacity to deliver when it comes to governance. As it is now, everything is showing that, look, there seems to be lack of capacity on this particular government to deliver the goods for Nigerians.
Well, Fuad, maybe we should wait for the first MPC meeting of 2024. Hopefully, their plan is... I'm just saying, hopefully their plan is not to raise the interest rate again. They should think out with, other...
Consistently, the MPC meetings, what are we always in and nothing to Nigeria?
Increase the interest rate. That's what they've been doing. But I'm hoping.
So you think this one will be different?
Hopefully. I mean, it's 2024, right?
I like your optimism. Let's wait.
That's what I'm saying. Let's wait for the MPC meeting.
Do you have any other choice? We'll wait.
Let's see what they say.
I'm not expecting anything different.
What if they do something different? We don't know. Let's hear from. What if they do something different? We don't know. Let's wait.
I like your optimism. Okay, let me work with your optimism.
Let's wait for the meeting and then we can now say, okay, hopefully they don't increase interest rate again, because that's the one that will pay me. Anyways, that's the one that will pay me.
The people will be here to talk about it. No wala. Let's wait.
All right. Okay.
When is the meeting coming up?
That's one of the complaints. They don't know. Like, their uncertainty. They don't even know when they're going to convene.
Have they even held anyone since Cardoso became CBN governor?
I doubt that. That was one of the issues as well. Like, how many meetings have you? No, they held one. That was when it was increased to 18%. I believe the interest rate went up to 18%. But I don't know of another one after that particular meeting that they held. So let's see what happens. It's on page 15 of the Guardian newspaper. This is still trends in the papers on mainland 98.3 FM. We have the final story here on page 3. Agbakogba taxed Tinubu on new constitution. Now, legal luminary Dr. Olisa Agbakogba SAN has called on President Bola Tinubu to earnestly begin to work on changing the 1999 constitution to achieve his renewed hope agenda. Now, Agbakogba is making a lot of observations. He's saying some of the things that we need to focus on is to understand questions about what we are before we can even start to comply with provisions of the constitution. He says some of the things we need to resolve in the constitution is, are we a country, are we a state, or are we a nation? Do we intend to live together as a country, and how? Once those questions are answered, it will set the stage for a new political arrangement that can be articulated in the new constitution. He's saying that we need to resolve issues of living together, tribal differences, a constitution that resolves tribal differences amongst other things. So he said, but primarily we need to understand what we are, first of all, a country, a state, or a nation, and also do we want to stay together, the tribes and the different ethnic groups. Do we want to stay together? If we want to, let's come up with a plan to keep us together. If we cannot be together, let's come up with a plan that would be able to very easily and peacefully hold our own individually amongst other things. So constitutional review, and this particular points that have been highlighted by the senior advocate of Nigeria, Agbakogba. Fuad, what are your thoughts?
Well, again, Olisa Agbakogba SAN is not the only one talking to the fact that we need to review what we have as a nation. We need to look at our relationship. We need to look at how we can live together. I think one of our regular callers, Mr. John, is always talking about a plebiscite, a referendum. I think it's also towards that kind of thinking. That as a people, we need to decide how we want to live together. I remember the last time I was having a conversation with ᴏᴜᴜ. What he said was that, look, if you look at the 1999 Constitution, the first page of that Constitution is in itself fraudulent. Because it says, we the people of Nigeria.
Where do we write it? We
the people, okay? We.
Who is we?
A constitution that was put together by the military for us.
Who is we?
So they put there, we the people, how? Where? You understand what I'm saying? See?
Yes.
And that's why if you look at that constitution, you see a lot of, apart from the fact that there's a lot of lacuna, apart from the fact that you have a lot of things that are muddled up together that cannot engender peaceful coexistence among Nigerians, apart from the fact that, look, there's a lot of unitary kind of orientation, embedded in that constitution, because again, it was packaged and put together by the military. We need to sit down as a people to decide how we want to live together in peace and progress and unity. And that's why people are saying that, look, the president has a role to play to set that agenda. Yes, because it's easy for them to come and say, no, that's the job of the legislators, blah, blah, blah. No! The president, as the leader of the nation, can also set the tone for that conversation and begin to work towards developing a legal framework for us to have a holistic review or probably a complete jettisoning of that 1999 constitution, because it's not even the people's constitution. It was given to us by the military. So he has a role to play. And, I remember that when he was inaugurated May 29, 2023, I spoke with Baba Okpadokun, one of the Nandeko leaders. And what he told me was that, look, he had written to congratulate the president. But in their congratulatory letter, they reminded him that when they were in the trenches in Nadeko, one of their major advocacies was for a complete restructuring of the country. They're doing away with military constitution to create the people's constitution that will talk to how we can live together in peace and unity. Until now, the president has not even addressed anything about restructuring, a review of the constitution, and all of that. Let us assume that he has a lot on his hands for now, but it can begin to work towards us having the real people's constitution that will engender peace, progress, and unity of the country. I agree with Mr. Onisagbakoba here completely, that the president has a role to play to begin to set up a legal framework. Luckily, he has, a good National Assembly. A National Assembly that is ready to do its wills and wishes. But he has to show commitment to that, the fact that he also believes that we need to completely review that constitution and restructure the country.
Right. All right. Well, that's it for the Guardian newspaper. Thank you for going along with us up until this very moment. We're still on Facebook and on YouTube. Mainland 98.3 FM is how you find us on those streaming platforms. My name is Sage Babalola. Fuad is still here, and we're still conversing about the stories that have been reported on the front pages of our dailies. You're listening to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. Now, moving over to the Punch newspaper, we have addressed most of the stories on here. So I think the only one we haven't spoken about is the student loan, which begins in January as federal government opens website soon. So for us, the student loan is still going to start this month as promised.
When is it starting?
January. There's no specific date, but
when in January?
They said January. What?
When is the website coming up?
Soon. That's what the report says.
Soon. The website is soon.
Is it soon? That's what they said. So, anyways, they haven't said They haven't said anything about the changes to the criteria, which was the primary issue. But then we're being told.
Do we have a website already?
No, soon. That's what the report says.
Soon.
That's what they said now.
What's today's date?
18.
Huh?
18 January.
Okay, so we still have time.
Say, let me read the headline. Student loan begins January as federal government opens website soon. That's what they said. Anyways, they're saying that all you have to do is you have to have admission in Nigeria and find yourself in a public school. If you're qualified, you apply for the loan online. It will be processed in a timely manner, and you can access your loan within 30 days. That's all that has been said about, the processes involved. But all those criteria of having a level 1 civil servant, level 8, your parents must earn this and this, they haven't given us specifics about the adjustments that have been made to all of those.
The criteria
yet. We don't have that yet. So, but I guess we'll get more information soon.
We don't have the criteria. Stakeholders in the education sector have continued to question how of this student loan arrangement is being made. For example, how do you come up with a student loan and you don't have critical engagement with ASU, all of the unions in the education sector? You don't have a critical conversation. Even with the student body, even though for now, NANS have become a complete I'm sorry, it's become a complete waste of time. What I see of NANS today, I just shake my head. The so-called student leaders, because in their courage and behavior, they are not even different from our regular politicians. You see them driving vehicles with presidency, NANS, special plate number. When we did unionism, unionism is not you trying to flaunt power and all of that.
Luxury.
But you see them in NANS with special plate number, jumping up and down, junketing with politicians. So what I have in NANS today, for me, is a complete joke. But again, they have to be involved. They have to be engaged. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And where we wait, I just have my doubts, really. I have my doubts about this whole student loan. You know, the first one when it was released, the criteria became a problem.
Yes.
So it would be nice to know whether they've really gone deep into this idea. Looking at the peculiarities of Nigerians, looking at the people that are supposed to benefit from the loan, considering so many factors. Another, I think that, look, for us to come up with something that is workable and sustainable and useful to people who really will need it, we should have had more engagement, stakeholder engagement. But we'll wait to see what comes up in January when the website is up.
Indeed.
The website for
yeah, soon. Page 29 of the Punch newspaper. They say soon, Fuad. When it comes out, they will report it on the front page.
I don't even need a student loan, so.
Anyways, page 5 says Ondo Amotekun arrests 19 kidnappers, 17 others. Federal government seeks $1.5 billion loan to shore up Naira, boost budget. All right. That's it for the Punch. For Vanguard, a story we haven't reviewed. Buhari defends Emefiele on Naira redesign. I saw that story. Basically, Buhari is saying, the Naira redesign policy allowed us to have a clean general election. That's what he says. But then Buhari defends Emefiele on Naira redesign. That's it for Vanguard newspaper. And finally, for The Nation, we have here CBN to crack down on forex violators, and Edo Poll Ihodalo joins race as LP pegs form at 30 million naira. That's about it for Trends in the Papers. Thank you so much for your participation. It's Open Mic Thursday, one of the most exciting days of the week. But then we will jump on that privilege of Open Mic when we come back at 8:40 a.m. for Mainland Focus. For now, we're going to go on a brief commercial break. We'd have Fuad Side join us, and then we'd have you call, tell us, or send a message via our streaming platform to tell us what stories are of interest to you. Thank you so much, Fuad, for joining us for Trends in the Papers. Yeah, in about 10 minutes, we'll be back for more conversations. This is the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Sage Babalola.
What takes a plate of jollof rice to the